Hi everyone, welcome to my Simple English YouTube channel. Today we will learn a lesson about IELTS, and our today's topic is how to get IELTS 6.5 plus in 2 months period. And I will introduce you with a weekly planner. You might say that it is impossible.
It is impossible.
But I say that the word impossible doesn't make any sense, because a lot of my students made this, a lot of my students achieved this because of this timetable and this weekly planner, which I found absolutely perfect. And watch the video till the end. I will tell you a surprise. So let's start it. Okay, first of all, so the first thing in the test that you'll do is listening, which takes 30 minutes. The test itself is 30 minutes, plus you have 10 minutes time for copying your answers into the answer sheet. The second part of the test is reading, which takes 1 hour or 60 minutes. The third part takes the same time, and it is writing. You have to write 2 essays and you have only 1 hour time. And the last part of the test is speaking, which takes 15 minutes, and it takes place between you and a speaker, usually a native speaker of the English. So this is the overall structure of the test. As you can see, total duration of the test is 2 hours and 55 minutes. Okay, let's go to the weekly planner so that you can learn it. Okay, I will show you weekly planner. So this is our plan for the first month. I will explain you everything in details in a moment, but before we start to break it down for each week, I would like to say that additional to this, every week you gotta learn about 100 words from 7 plus vocabulary. I mean 100 words each week from 7 plus vocabulary, and you also have to read 2 or 3 articles each week, and also 1 movie each week. So it's not written in here, however it's very good for your practice. So that keep in your mind that you have to learn every week additional 100 words, additional 3 articles, and of course additional movie in English, of course. Okay, let's go. Let's start. In the first week you will do nothing in terms of the listening and reading. However, you have to learn about task 1, about the structure, how to write it, and how to write, for example, introduction, overview, and body parts, what to select, what to choose, so stuff like this. So it's basically like it's more of a theory than practice. So you have to learn the theory of writing. Speaking, you have to learn theory of part 1 as well. And in the second week you will do nothing about listening, because it's still like it's too much information if you add in listening as well. Reading, so in the second week you have to learn about reading, and you have to learn theory and ways how to do all types of questions in the reading test. So in terms of writing, you have to practice your task 1 writing, because you learned everything here, and now you have to make sure that your writing is perfect here. Okay, and speaking, of course, part 2, and I have a special structure for part 2, which I will post in the later videos. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss that video. Okay, in the third week we have finally you start practicing listening. So you have a theory of all parts, like explanation of all parts, and of course practice together, like together with your tutor or together with your friend who knows English really well, so that he or she can lead you, he or she can show you your mistakes and stuff like that. Okay, then in terms of reading, you have to practice easy reading tests, not the difficult, not like Thompson, right? So you have to practice easy reading test. I would suggest you Barron's reading test, and I would suggest you some of the Cambridge books for practicing. In terms of writing, we don't do anything in writing in the third week, and of course speaking, explanation of part 3, so that you finish all 3 parts in the listening by the week 4. Okay, if you pay attention, by the week 4, I mean by the end of the month, you have finished, by the end of the first month, you have finished almost everything, like learning the theory of everything except for task 2 writing. And therefore you have to make a mock, you have to test yourself, you have to see your weaknesses, you have to see your strengths, so you have to mock yourself. When I mean mock, right, mock takes like 1 day, like 3 hours maximum, right? And this is like multiple mocks in a week. In week 4 you have to take like something like 3 or 4 mocks so that you see your level. Okay, and now the schedule for the second month. In the week 5 you have to practice listening, and for the 5th month I would suggest you to practice listening with scripts. For example, you do the listening, and you check your answers, and mistakes you can find from your scripts. Or the second way of doing this is that you can play the listening and you can read the scripts aloud, so that you will understand what they're saying and you will understand how they say it next time. Okay, and for reading, you have to again practice. You have to do practice tests, and this time you have to analyze your mistakes, so work on your mistakes, right? For example, if you have 30 questions out of 40, you have to find why you have mistaken 10 times, right? Okay, and in terms of writing, there is explanation of task 2. Explanation of task 2, so all the types of task 2, opinion, problem solution, and stuff like that. And you don't write it yet here, right? Okay, and speaking, of course, you have to practice all 3 parts together. All 3 parts together, and it's not like a mock, so you have to more work on your ideas for these parts and the structure of the parts. You have to remind yourself of theory and stuff like that. Okay, for the 6th week, you have been studying for the 1.5 months. What I mean to work on mistakes or weaknesses is that, for example, multiple choice questions might be difficult for you, or gap filling questions might be difficult for you. So you work on a specific type of the question in listening and reading as well, so that you will master that type of question, and every type of question becomes easy for you. I know that there are a lot of types of questions in listening and reading, so therefore if you practice like the types of tasks which are the most difficult for you, all the other tasks will be very, very easy. Okay, in terms of speaking and writing, you have to mock yourself and see how your development is going. Okay, in the 2nd week, it's almost the last week before your test, right? So mock test again about listening and reading. In terms of writing and speaking, you have to learn like work for ideas. What I mean work for ideas is that you don't practice it. If, for example, in writing task 2, you see the topics, like a list of the topics, let's say a list of 100 topics in writing, and you analyze it. For example, what do I write for body 1? What kind of ideas do I write for body 1? And what kind of ideas I write for body 2? And what's my opinions? For example, do I agree or do I disagree? Okay, so this is how you work on ideas. And of course, you can read more articles here. You have to read, like, you have to do more research here. And the last week before your exam. In the last week, I would advise you to work on mistakes, weaknesses, right? Again, in the listening and reading part. For example, as I said, in a reading part, headings or true-false questions might be very, very difficult for some people. For this reason, is they have to practice on this task, because you never know what type of questions you receive in exams, right? So that you should be ready for everything. There is an old English proverb: be ready for the difficult things and expect easy things. For example, if you are ready for difficult things, easy things will be like very, 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 very easy for you. So about writing. In the last week in writing, you have to practice both tasks with timing, just like a mock, right? With both tasks with timing, and plus you have to work on ideas just before, like several days before your exam. As I said, working on ideas, while working on ideas, you have to get a lot of topics, and you have to just verbally analyze the topics without any writing, because you wouldn't waste time. So that by the end of 2 months, you have to be familiar with about 150 topics in writing, so that you will have one similar topic in your exam, and you just will put down your ideas, and that's it. And for the speaking part, in the last week, you have to work for part 2 and part 3, because by that week, like, part 1 will be very, very easy for you, and I think you will be able to answer all the questions in part 1. Therefore, you have to practice more part 2 and part 3, and that's it. The last thing to do in this weekly planner is to get IELTS 6.5. That's very easy, right? Okay, as I said, additionally, each week you have to learn 100 words, you have to read 3 articles at least, and you have to watch 1 movie. So if you follow the schedule, and if you follow it correctly with a well-explained types of the tasks, I'm sure you will be able to get 6.5. And before starting this schedule, like before learning this, make sure your level is a very, very good and very, very high intermediate. When I mean intermediate, it's not like a person who graduated intermediate course and that's it. No, you have to understand every single topic which you covered in your group before intermediate and during the intermediate course, and you should be able to do all the tests, and for example, if there is an intermediate exit test, you have to get at least, for example, 80%. So you have to get really strong intermediate. The stronger your background is, the better the preparation. For example, I had students who were studying in the same group, however, their backgrounds were different. For example, one student studied upper intermediate. They just started upper intermediate, and his level was a strong intermediate. And I had other student who has just went to the group intermediate, and he just ran out of time and he wanted to study IELTS. I said, okay, come on. And both students studied according to this schedule. So, however, at the end, the one who graduated intermediate really well got 7, and the one who didn't graduated got 5.5. So that's really disappointing. So your background does a lot in IELTS. That's why make sure that you are ready to study IELTS before you start actually studying it, right? After you start studying it, it will be too late if you're not ready. So that's why make sure that you have really good background before you start. Okay, thank you for your attention, and make sure that you subscribe to this channel, because you will not miss very important updates about IELTS and about my new lessons. Thank you for attention. Goodbye.